Welcome back. This is the TREX500X frame assembly. I'm on page 8 of the assembly manual. The easiest way to show this after a couple different tries is to show you how the frame looks when it's assembled on one side. That puts all the components in place. So what I have is the right side of the airframe here. Battery tray is here in the forward where the battery will click in. Rudder servo to the rear. So what I have here is upper main bearing block, the aligned logo facing up. This is secured through the frame with two 10mm screws, 3x10s. Lower bearing block here with the bearing facing down. So the main rotor head is going to push down on this to hold this bearing in place, and the main gear is going to push up here to keep this bearing in place. We've also got the servo mounts facing to the aft right here. The servos will get bolted in from here and here. I've got two of the round standoffs, lower frame and closer to center. We've got the motor pinion support right here, and the bearing is facing up, so the actual pinion is going to push down. And I've got two lower frame supports here. This one's in tight. The rear one is currently loose because it uses a longer bolt that will pick up one of the tail supports as we go forward. But this was the easiest way to show you right now. So if we can stay here for just a second with this view, and I can set the other side of the frame in place. This goes together fairly easy. I've got a DeWalt cordless driver here, meant just for my hobby stuff here. I use a setting of no more than 8 or 9 for essentially bolts going into aluminum here. The entire left-hand side here goes together for the most part with the 3x8mm bolts. These are the shorter ones. There's a couple places where we use the 3x10, which is slightly longer. Then there's actually a 3x12, which gets used for the tail support. So the 8mm stuff goes together on everywhere but the upper main bearing block. I'm going to add a little bit of my typical thread locker here. I use a Permatex gel type. I'm going to go through the lower, come in through the lower bearing block here. Same thing, this is another 3x8. I said the two 3x10mm screws come in through the upper bearing block because it has a plastic reinforcement. We're going to show you that here in just a second. Thread lock. These come in through the top two holes here. Find my other 10mm here, I've got it. Okay, that's seated. Now I can finish up with the 8mm. I can get the front lower support here. You can also bring two of them into the standoffs. Go ahead and get ahead a little bit here. We'll get the lower standoff, and I also want to get the motor pinion support. Oops, I just dropped one. The last one here goes in the other pinion support. Okay, so we're tightening up each one of these. Just a little bit here. Okay, so far, and for now, I'm just going to hand tighten this rear 3x12 because that will eventually take one of the tail supports. A couple pieces I haven't done so far. Up here on the front, we're going to use one of the canopy standoffs, and the one that goes here actually uses the round-headed bolt, so you don't actually have any battery problems. And I probably should have put this on first, but this comes through the side of the frame. Threads on like so. You can either put these together before you build the frame, or you can use a ball driver at the end so you can get the proper torque on it. This is a 2mm. There. And we've also got one that comes in through the top. It comes out this plastic boss. In that case, that one uses a standard 3x10. Gonna thread lock this, and we're going to bring this in through the back of the frame. Pardon me for the bad angle here. We'll come in through the side frame here. Go ahead and thread this canopy support in place. Okay, got that tight. Okay, at this point we've essentially got the frame assembled, and we can move on to the next steps.